Okay, we are back, are we?
I think so.
Okay, well, we are here. Good afternoon and welcome back. We have had a little bit of a problem, so I wasn't sure whether we were connected or not. And we do have, as promised last week.
I'm just going to add to the call that is there, and we will be live around the world in just a moment. Sorry for the problems. I know, Vinny, you've been trying to call in.
Lives. What's wrong in what the different interest group in the government is doing, what needs to be changed. And but in order to change it, first people have to be, the majority of the population has to become aware of what is really going on. Otherwise, it's really not going to happen. And, oh boy.
I'm back.
I'm here, by the way. Are
Hello,
we on
Barbara.
the air? Are we on the air?
Dr. C? Okay, I'm here, and Dr. C was, and she still looks like she's here, but I'm not hearing anything.
Okay.
Well, our plan today was to make history and have the show on two different networks at the same time. With Barbara Hartwell and Howard Nema of WeAreChange Connecticut and TruthBroadcastNetwork.com, ProjectFreedom.ws. Oh boy, live radio disaster. Don't you love it?
Sorry for the problems. I know, Vinny, you've been trying to call in. Bobby's trying. We're having all this COINTELPRO shit going on here. Big problems going on. We were unable to add things. People disappeared from Skype. Really bizarre stuff happened today. I'm just going to go into, I'm going to add this to the actual broadcast, which we'll be going over in just a moment. Let me just get there.
Randy, can you hear me?
Yes, we're finally back on.
Okay, but I was on with Howard. I didn't know we were not on the program, and then he said that he was trying to contact you, and he was trying to contact Barbara. He couldn't get either one because we're busy line. Can you bring him in so we can do this, or what? All right. So while we discussed all sorts of different things at a general level last week, and we go over different points that indicate the condition of COINTELPRO being used against several disliked individuals. And the only comforting things, if you can call it comforting, is that it didn't just happen to you or me. It happens, they do it, and it's the same method they use for everybody.
That's
right. That's how people can recognize what's going on. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Die Hard, the original one.
Yes, I did.
Remember when the FBI comes in and the terrorists, the one that were basically thieves, said, okay, this is what's going to happen next because they went by the FBI book?
Yes.
And the same thing is with the COINTELPRO. They do the same things to everybody. So
Yes.
reaches a point.
Yes, it's a very highly organized operation. They have protocols, they have patterns. As we discussed last week, they have the libel slander campaigns and the harassment and the threats and the bribes and on it goes.
But see, they always follow the same model, though. That way they
Yes.
can be easily recognized. I mean, to me, that's stupidity, too.
Well, yes. Well, we're here to bust COINTELPRO. That's all.
Absolutely. And, when people say that we're crazy because we think that, we have been told by several show hosts we were trying to get in touch with and have interview me so we could bring up what was happening. And basically the comment was that what we were saying was ridiculous because there is no such a thing, and we were just,
Well, of course, one of the tactics of COINTELPRO is to, discredit the targets by mockery, by making fun of you, like, oh, this couldn't be happening, but it is happening, and we all know that.
Yeah, it just, one also of an expected technique is just that the general public is not aware of it. That's why the problem happened. But another thing, I guess I was a dreamer 3 years ago before all of this started, and when I was faced with the fake lawsuit, just ridiculous, based on lies and nonsense, I thought that there was justice, and I could show very easily how much it was a farce and how much everything was a lie. I thought I could. I thought it was rather easy. I just did not know.
Well, that's because you are an honorable person. You're honest, and you don't expect, nobody does until it happens to them. You don't expect there to be a whole group of liars in collusion, in a conspiracy to destroy you. It's hard for anybody to believe that.
It is hard, and also I guess I believed in all that nonsense about the U.S., justice for all and all of that.
Yes, liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I believe that, and I said, gosh, it's really going to be easy to demonstrate how phony this lawsuit is, and stupid me thought that even the lawyer was not aware of the truth.
Yes.
That was me, okay? And I thought that I could prove very clearly that it all was a bunch of lies. And I also knew that there are laws in place, which today means nothing. There are laws in place where lawyers...
You're listening to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, we're back from the break, and I need to apologize for all the technical problems we are having. We're trying something different because we are having just more than just one guest, and I guess has to be a combined call, so it's pretty much of a mess. One side thinks to do one thing that doesn't go with what we are doing on our side, so everything is a mess at the moment. Our webmaster is trying to fix it. We lost Arnie somewhere, and it just... at the moment, it's kind of confusing, but we do have Barbara on, so we are going to continue with this.
Yeah, I'm still here, Dr. Carpenter.
And then we are going to include Howard, and we are going to discuss, is WeAreChange? Can we change things? I think okay.
Yeah, I think if we have enough of us, we can.
I think so. It's just a question of being tough and being persistent. Well,
that's right.
But before
you know what, Dr. Carpenter, you were talking about the frivolous lawsuits and all that, and I don't know how much we didn't really go into too much of that on the last program, and I'm sure that the listeners would like to know, like, how you got targeted. How you got targeted, and the nature of these frivolous lawsuits and what they did to you.
Well, actually, I don't know how they found the person, because the group that was against me was the medical school in Little Rock, and of course helped by the Attorney General's office. It's just all the politicians that are all in money interest in the school, medical school. How did they find that particular patient that was really a shyster, from day one was trying to get money out of me instead of... even though she claimed she was grateful for what I did for her, she was really trying to get money out of me. So I don't know how they found her. And it's a question which also brings back up the probably connecting line was my ex. So that's the only thing I can think of.
Well, one of the things that the COINTELPRO operations use is any person that has ever been close to you, whether it's a former spouse or a family member, somebody who's angry with you and wants to do harm. So they recruit those people in to use them for their agenda.
Yeah. And these people, I guess, think they're going to get some compensation for doing that. I don't know, okay? I have no idea, because really my ex, I was his line of support. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. So.
Well, yeah, but, that you can't underestimate people that have an axe to grind, some disgruntled person or somebody that has an axe to grind. There's no money in it, maybe, but they feel like, well, I can get back. I can get revenge on this person.
Well, sorry. In my particular case is that he thought that he could get a financial gain by destroying me because he thought he could take over the company.
Yes.
And do it all, which he couldn't. But, when you're a narcissist, there is no realistic view of what you can do.
Yes, well, that's right. Well, they got narcissistic personality disorder, which is like a form of psychopathy.
Yeah.
They think they're gods.
Yeah.
They don't recognize other people's feelings and anybody that could participate in a campaign against a person, a target, has to be one of those kind of people because they don't have any compassion or no empathy for other people's pain. They just don't have it.
Oh, no gratitude.
That's right.
Because this was an issue of gratitude. But anyway, I'm just saying that's the only connection I think that he could find that person in that name. Mm-hmm. And that's what they used. Now, they had a list of former patient, but recent former patient, because they used the excuse that they were investigating the physician that was working with us, and they were investigating him. So they requested the files of the patients that he has seen. They came in when he was around. So that's another group of people. But it did not include this one that came 3 years before. So, no.
Well, now this physician that you had, under the law, as I understand it, you had to have this person
in Arkansas, yes. In Arkansas.
Yeah, in Arkansas.
So the law, the requirement of the state. And that does not apply to Oklahoma, but does apply to Arkansas. So in that particular state, that was the requirement. They do not allow homeopathic practitioners. They do not allow naturopathic doctors. They do not allow chiropractors that do anything else. But, of course, everybody under the radar is doing it. And they get away with it because they are part of the good old boys club, okay?
Yes, of course. But I think, Dr. Carpenter, you also told me that one of this medical doctors was a mole.
Yeah, he was. He was a mole for the medical school. And he had his own interest for doing that, but he was a mole. And that's why I was trying to take out files out of the office. I caught him and stopped it because the files, you can look at it, but they do not leave the premises. So that was the only way they could access the former patient. And then they tried to get them to sue us, but they couldn't get anybody except that one because of what she was. The others, their cases were so advanced by the time they came to me that they couldn't do anything actually legal. Even crooked, it was too obvious, so they couldn't do it. Yes. They got desperate that couldn't find anybody except her. So as I said, they fake another one by filing this lawsuit of somebody. And I recognized something was funny because that wasn't her legal name. She was using her middle name as her name everywhere, so that's how they knew her. But with our file, she had to use her legal name, and that didn't match. So that wasn't her legal name. She couldn't possibly have been the one filing that. She would have used the real name.
So, and also there was a worse complication, wasn't there? That she was actually dead.
Right.
When they filed the suit.
Right. She was actually dead, and she had died for other reasons. She was an old woman. She had died for other reasons, but they made it look in the lawsuit that she was suffering. She was not dead. They covered it up.
So it was a completely fraudulent and bogus lawsuit. Not only that, but this is a criminal act.
It is because
file a lawsuit against a person using the name of a dead person.
Right, because it's not like it was her survivors that did file a lawsuit in her behalf because of what happened to her. No, she did not have a husband. Her son was in an institution, I don't know what kind of problem he had, but he was in an institution. So he was not somebody that could have filed a lawsuit. There was nobody. She had nobody left. So they used her name, but she was not alive. And then
that's amazing that they even got away with that.
This is beyond a frivolous lawsuit.
Yeah.
This is fraud.
Yeah, of course.
Because they put words into her that she didn't say.
Exactly. But that's so typical. I mean, once they target you, they just want to shut you down. And they'll use any kind of illegal, fraudulent methodology that they can think of. And they are very arrogant because they don't ever believe they're going to be caught or stopped. And sometimes they're not stopped because the courts are in collusion. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, it is. Do we have a break? Do you hear anything in the background?
No. No.
I hear some strange sound in the back. Yeah,
it's dropped off too.
Well, it doesn't show that it's dropped off on my screen, but I don't know if it's there, and I don't know where Arnie is. I don't know. I don't know what is going on. But anyway, I don't know if we have a break, and I hate to discuss things when we don't know if we have a break or not.
Yes, I can't hear anything, Doctor.
I don't either, but I hear some kind of like a dead air out there, and I don't know. Sounds weird.
I hope we're broadcasting.
I hope so, too. I don't know what is going on today. Randy, if you're out there managing these things, please come in. Because we have no idea what's going on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
Yes, I'm getting the same call. Are you calling?
We cannot answer that, otherwise we lose the Orion connection.
Medical conspiracy.
That's the Project Freedom. I think this is everybody, though. I think it's a swap. Hold on. Let me see.
No, it's not. Don't get on Orion that way. If I answer that, we won't get on Orion. Okay, I'm back, so I cannot answer that one.
Go ahead. I'm going to mute my mic till I figure this out.
Okay. All right.
Boy, oh boy. OrionTalkRadio.com, Micro 1650 in Tonawanda, New York.
And
Hello Lives 365 and Spreaker.com. And
we are sorry for all the technical problems we are having today.
Yeah. We were briefly in touch with ProjectFreedom.ws and TruthBroadcastNetwork.com and Howard Nema.
But we lost it. I don't know. Did we lose it? Anyway, whatever.
No, Howard is still online. He put himself on mute just to try to deal with the problem. So he's supposedly he's still on.
Okay, but we can continue with what we're discussing.
Yes.
For the frivolous lawsuit. And some of them, the court shouldn't even accept it to hear, because what they do is there is a lawsuit coming in, so they write something to the person that is being, to the defendant, and then you have to send the court an answer. And the answer will show, based on the answer, whether it is a frivolous lawsuit or not. And I answered the court not just with my statement, but with evidence, documents proving what I was saying. All of it was ignored, and they went on with the lawsuit. And I, as we said before, I wasn't served until people on the web already knew I were talking about it. How would they know and talk about it and attack me if I didn't even know?
Because it was leaked by the perpetrator.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
A conspiracy to the hill.
Exactly. And Dr. Carpenter, I can't tell you how many cases just like this where somebody filed a lawsuit, a frivolous lawsuit against a target to destroy that person's life and livelihood, and how the courts and the lawyers and
the judges
and the judges were all in a conspiracy to make that happen.
But the other thing that got me, and I guess, as I said, that's because I am a dreamer, and I think that the truth will surface, and eventually will, but is that before we are totally destroyed or what? See, that's the problem. But my question was...
Yes, it is.
My problem was, how could it be that they somehow bribed my lawyers? I changed 3 different lawyers, and nothing changed other than them working against me.
Exactly.
Taking my money and working against me.
Well, I've heard these stories too. They get to the lawyers one way or another. And there's two ways they get to them. One is a bribe, meaning money or some other favor, and the other is a threat. They threaten them or bribe them. There really is no other way.
And that's what happened. They were saying one thing to me, and they were doing another. All of them. Actually, the first one was, they all were lying openly to me, but they presented as what I needed to do. So the first one was an Arkansas lawyer, so he was a friend of the other ambulance chasers, so they were cooperating with each other. and
an ambulance chaser. That's about the size
that's
of it.
what it was.
The shysters.
Yes, exactly. And the plaintiff is another shyster, so there you go. Actually, what she honestly is an opportunist that doesn't have any job or any real profession. She's a party girl. They are paid to a...
Well, also, though, Dr. Carpenter, these people are completely unscrupulous. They have no principles. They're dishonorable. And if anybody was ever to be able to prove that in terms of, from a legal standpoint, they would be disbarred because they're breaking all...
I had enough evidence that they could be disbarred. And I wrote to the ethics committee. Did I get anywhere? No, absolutely not.
They're violating professional ethics at your expense, and they should have been disbarred.
Even the judge should have been disbarred.
I mean, there's a plain trail of crumbs, and yet they sit there and say that you can't prove this.
No, the judge...
Because you know what? They always know that the target has limited resources.
Right.
You spend and spend and pay, thinking that you're going to get justice or hoping that you're going to get justice. And what's happening is they have unlimited resources. They have the whole system backing them up, and they have bribes and all kinds of black budget money in which to do this. And you don't have a chance when they do this.
I know, because they will know. They said, okay, this was my patent, my technology. I'm the only expert on that because nobody else has been able to copy it. I could not be an expert witness. No, you cannot be your own expert witness.
Exactly.
Wait a minute, I'm the only one who understands this. What do you mean I can? They wouldn't let me talk because, heaven forbid, they could show...
You could not be a witness in your own defense.
They wouldn't even let your other expert witness. I mean, they let her testify, but they suppressed it, pushed it under the rug, said, "Oh, that's prejudicial. We can't use that."
Well,
because she's not an oncologist. See.
But the excuse is used, and see, that's what we are doing. We are putting together. See, and another thing that the second attorney that cost a fortune was a California attorney and claimed to be an expert in these cases that could get me off the hook. This other attorney said I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't discuss the evidence that proved that they were lying. I couldn't do it.
Your own attorney put a gag order on you.
Yes.
Carlos Negrete.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I couldn't do and say anything.
Exposed.
Yeah,
Yes,
exposed. Say his name again, Randy.
Carlos Negrete.
Good. I'll put him in my hall of shame on my website.
Yeah, in California. So
add James Hicks of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah, you
That's
send it all to me. Send it all to me by an email. I'll put every name in there.
yeah. It's just unbelievable. So what did they do? The last attorney, James Hicks, made things disappear, the deposition disappear. Not only that, we finally got, after 3 years, I got hold of her record that showed she had recovered after our treatment. She was fine. They covered it up. And my own attorney, well, he sent, the plaintiff attorney sent all her files, 600 pages, okay, of nonsense, of other things she had. I sifted through all of the 600 pages and found the pages indicating the evidence that our treatment was successful. My attorney said he couldn't find it. I said, okay, when I came to see you, I gave you the copy of the page where it is located in the file. So what do you mean you couldn't find? Oh, yeah, I remember now. I'll give you another copy. No, I
didn't. And you paid this person.
Yes.
To work for you because the attorney works for the client.
not only
Supposed to, anyway.
Yeah.
did all the work. Not only I paid him to make sure that things were done right, I did all the work. I wrote to him, this is the evidence, this is what happened, this is what the answer to everything. They are lying, and this is the evidence that they're all lying. Her own oncologist that testified, he was lying. And what he said was incorrect, and I had copies from books, textbook, for oncologists and radiologists to show that's how they read the results were wrong.
Well, exactly. The enemy was within the gates.
Right. So, and he had to have been, what purpose would that be if I was paying him? Because obviously he was, I don't know, paid from another side. I don't know what it was. He was the big, when I realized what was going on, I fired him. And then he had a fit because I fired him. Oh, you had the trial go on and you lost because you fired me before the trial. Once I fired you, there couldn't have been a trial. I said to the court that they had no jurisdiction over me, and I wasn't coming to the court, to the trial. So, by law, they had to bring it into default and grant $75,000 to the plaintiff. Instead, they ran a bogus trial with a bogus court with bogus everything was bogus. The attorney, the judge, the jury that was chosen only by the plaintiff attorney. That's completely illegal. And that's when
is this a commercial break there?
Yes,
it is.
Hi. It's Howard Nema. I'm sorry for the delay of getting back to you, but we do have everything going, and now we're broadcasting not only on the Project Freedom, but Death to the New World Order, D2NWO.com.
All right.
Great.
Hello, Project Freedom.
And give a shout out to Bobby K. He deserves a lot. For the last 43 minutes, we've had an incredible amount of trouble. You're not getting our requests. Your name disappeared from the registry when we were trying to find it. All right around the moments we went to air, you know?
Yeah, I know. These things happen. Computers and technology is good, but sometimes it fails.
See, it's interesting. On the break times, when you have breaks, we'll just talk right through it because we're streaming, they're streaming the radio, but I have a live stream coming for the video, which is going through TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. So, a lot of different places we're getting this little broadcast out. So we're going to keep doing this multiple efforts, hopefully in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have been talking, I don't know if you could hear, but we have been talking about crooked lawyers, phony lawsuits. And
if you could just expand a little more, because some of the audiences that we have, it hasn't gotten into it, but this is what I really, with the bread and butter, I had explained this to Harry Link at Death to the New World Order and TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. And he was like, well, talking about the fact the lawyers set you up. The lawyers are in these criminals' pockets, and you pay them, and they work for the people that you're suing. Yeah, it's horrible. So yes, please, and all the COINTELPRO information like that, and that we can go over is going to be wonderful. So looking forward to listening a little, and I'll chime in. I really want to listen more than at this point. And turn our listeners on to your stuff, because this is the first time we've ever really been on air together, right, Doctor? So it's good. Right. It's great.
Radio history in the making.
Radio history in the making.
We're not on the air now, right?
Well, we're broadcasting on the video screen. The video. Anyone that's watching on the live stream
on your net, right?
On my side, I also have. But the radio station NFormDRadio is now streaming through. Project Freedom, because of the server issue that we'll go over in the third hour. And so whenever you guys are ready, you just go back into it, and I'm just going to listen and take in some knowledge.
Okay.
Don't miss an Orion Talk Radio exclusive, my interview with Judith Barry Baker, the girlfriend of Lee Harvey Oswald. She knows things that your government doesn't want you to hear.
This is the last interview I ever done with this thing until October of 2013.
I know we had mentioned before about John.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
very sad.
Judith Berry Baker, her show topics had to do with weaponized cancer and attacking high-level targets.
Exclusive. My interview with Judith Berry Baker, the girlfriend of Lee Harvey Oswald.
I've heard about that whole with the cancer connection to she was killed, right? Wasn't that? Or this other woman was somebody that she stole. I'm trying to remember the story. Some came across a cancer cure or something in the 60s. Wasn't that what happened, Doctor?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think I remember. Just like what you just said, Mandy, sort of stimulated that.
Are you talking about Royal?
The Dr. Mary's monkey story.
Dr. Mary's monkey. That's it. Thank you. I couldn't think of what it was, but that's what it was.
Okay, I think that there was the.
And we're back on Orion Talk Radio.
Okay. All right. What I like to again apologize has been. A day that we were getting ready to have an amazing show for you, and all these people involved, all these different connections, so a lot more people can hear what has been going on, what has been happening, has been hashed before, as much as I tried to put it out. So today was the day we were going to put out in different channels, but we have had so many technical problems that I don't know what was heard by whom and where. So
as of now, we are broadcasting on Orion Talk Radio and on ProjectFreedom.ws and TruthBroadcastNetwork.com.
Okay, so we are all...
Simulcast
so
on Death2NWO.com, too.
We need to recap what we were talking about. And what we were talking about, and the reason why Barbara Hartwell and I got together is because what was happening to us, we had the impression that fell into the exact pattern of what COINTELPRO does.
That's right, yes.
And so we got together and exchanged events and stories, and we realized exactly the same thing that has happened to her over the years. Has been happening to me the past 3 years, and is not letting out. So it is really extremely suspicious. So we got together and discussed it, and last week we discussed it on the air in general terms about what she is being the expert on the subject. She gives all the guideline of all the things they do and how they progress in destroying a person or whatever the person is doing. In her case, she was a dangerous person because she knew too much. The woman who knew too much. So
and was going to do something about it, too.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's what you think.
That's what we're all going to do something about it, though.
Yeah, we are. And if it's more... See, if it's one person that does that, there is an echo now.
That too.
There is one person that does that and say, okay, they can cover up by saying that person is delusional, is crazy, it's just nonsense what is coming out of her mouth. That is not true, it's not happening, and she is obviously crazy and delusional, so don't listen to her. But when you hear other people that went through the same experience, or for whatever reason they were considered a targeted individual, and the methods are all the same because that's what the FBI and the government does, always using.
Exactly.
They are not creative.
It's a set of protocols.
Right.
And it's very highly organized in terms of how they are going to neutralize you. And so it's what we said on the first program. J. Edgar Hoover, who started COINTELPRO in 1956, his motto was neutralize them.
The enemy, what he considered an enemy.
Yes.
And that was also in the days of the Cold War. So that's a totally different setup. And now they're using it against U.S. citizens.
Yeah, but even then they were using it against U.S. citizens.
Well, because they were claiming that these people were communists.
Were subversives or communists or whatever. And many of them were not. I'm a staunch antagonist of communism. I hate communism.
I know.
Okay? But or any kind of collectivism or leftist, politics. But these people were using that as an excuse to go after anybody that they don't like.
That they consider dangerous to the status quo.
Exactly. And they're still doing it to this present day. And how
obviously
later?
There we are, you and I.
Some odd years later, right?
Yeah.
65 years later. They're doing this.
To American citizens.
Exactly.
Now, and I talked to some radio talk show host, and without naming the sinners, I would say that one particular individual said that our story was ridiculous, and the suggestion of COINTELPRO methods was making him fall on the floor, rolling on the floor laughing. That was
You're talking about that blonde-haired show host, aren't you? Oh, yeah, okay.
No.
Well, we don't want to name him, I guess, so we won't.
We are not naming him.
I don't know why you would want to name him, you know.
With that goatee, that great big goatee that he's recently sporting.
Because
Jack.
Well, that's just part of we're gonna go. Okay. The principles are of respectable people is that you name the sin and not the sinner. Now people can figure out who he is, but okay.
Okay, but I wonder if I could just ask Howard here a question. Are you there, Howard?
I am, Barbara.
Okay. What I would like to ask, because I think this was the reason that we originally thought of inviting Howard in on this program, is because Howard got targeted by the COINTELPRO himself and was briefly actually hoodwinked by one of the kingpins. Could you say a little bit about that, Howard?
Yeah, sure. I absolutely. What I did was we started this show, and we started getting some guests on. It was a goal that we were trying to achieve, to try to get people that are well known in the truth movement, and interview them basically about. And from my research and what I had seen, and people like Alex Jones, who sells Anthony Hilder's films. Anthony Hilder, I looked at his work, and I found it to be credible. I found it to be something important.
I just tried to
it's making me sick.
I try to sit here and be a moral person and do the right thing.
That was a little Alex Jones in there. There you go. And that was beautiful. Randy, I love you.
I'm just trying to be a moral person.
Now, that's good.
Real moral, Alex.
Come on, Berkey water filters. Come on.
Sorry, Howard.
So what had happened is about a year and a half ago. It was about a year and a half ago. I had actually made my first contact with Anthony Hilder, and he accepted first of all, we accepted a request, and we had actually been in conversation. He even because I went to film school and studied music, and he had said, well, why don't you make a film about Skull and Bones, and I'll put it in my next movie. And he gave me this whole idea of doing these things, and oh yeah, we can do this, and I'm counting on you, and all this long-winded stuff. And then, of course, I was believing him, and I mean, after all, the guy does have films. He's got a reputation that you have to at least look at as something that a career. I mean, he was, journalist and TV host, or radio host. I mean, he's done all these things.
CIA agent?
Yes, we'll put the CIA agent in there, right? That was the part that you're blowing the thunder there. That's okay.
Sorry, Howard.
Well, considering that, of course, you, too, being a former CIA agent, can clearly know the ilk when you see it. It's sort of saying that whole thing is, I think it was Len Horowitz who said, using the biblical reference to the fruits of one, what are the fruits of...
By their fruits shall you know them.
Exactly. And I was very deceived by Anthony Hilder, and I got him on the radio show and publicized the hell out of it like I did. And I think the reason why we got a lot of attention also was because I started to get a lot of, just a lot of, people were listening to what I was, it wasn't just some guy ranting for a few hours. I started to hit on things, I guess, that they didn't want publicized, and I was growing. We have a lot of people growing in this network, and it's growing even more. And when Roger Landry comes on later, he'll blow everybody's mind with where this is actually going, the real We the People network and movement. And I was just pretty much, I was honored to have Hilder spend 2 hours with me. And the first hour of it, Sherry Kane and Dr. Len Horowitz, called in because we had open phones. And
I was like, at first, again, I can tell you, I was shocked and didn't believe anything they had to say. But as the 45 minutes rolled towards the end, I started hearing things that, you know, and speculation and looking at, opening my eyes to the fact that, well, listen, you know something, anything is possible. And it was really, I entered the interview without bashing him and without taking sides, so to speak, but more or less, I didn't really want to Hilder to be looked at in a bad light. That's how I really was, even though it was like, wow, you know, some of the stuff was just really freaky. I didn't believe half of it. And I just didn't believe it.
You were open-minded, Howard, though.
Right. Well, my point is that's exactly right. I was presented with the same thing that got me into this, Barbara, was somebody gave me a challenge. And they said, well, prove me wrong, instead of just saying I'm nuts. And that's how I got into researching the New World Order.
But see, also, if you have somebody as a guest in your show, even if he's saying things that you find outrageous, you cannot pounce on the person because he's your guest.
That's true, too. It was for courtesy. I agree. Right. But I really must tell you, I was at that point in the high 80 percentiles of believing Hilder. But before that, I was in the 100%. You know, I was a backer of him. You know, I was a supporter, a fan, if you want to call me that. Yeah. You know, I don't believe in fans now, for sure. Nobody should be looked up to individually as anything. Whatever we do as a collective, but in the good sense, a collective as we, the people, trying to make change here, not to try to profiteer or become an icon, which is what we're fighting against. This whole iconography of the New World Order, putting people like Lady Gaga type of the world, you know.
But Howard, I think it's also important that we mention here, for the listeners especially that heard the show last week here on Orion, is that
we are at the end of the first hour.
That's it. We're fixing to go into news break.
Okay.
It's amazing how fast the time is going. Also with all the problems we have had, but we hopefully go smoother on the second hour.
Okay.
I'm sure it will.
I hope so. Don't be sure of anything.
We're probably still live.
Yes, we're still live here, and you know, I don't want to go into too much because I don't want to, you know, for the folks that are listening to the breaks right now. But it was an experience. I got to tell you, to have somebody like.
So if they are not hearing you, once the commercial starts, they won't hear you.
No, I realize that. So we're on a little break here. I don't actually have the.
So, Howard, I think it's important, what I was about to mention before the break, is that it's important to mention, especially for the listeners last week. Last week we talked about the COINTELPRO kingpin, Ted Gunderson, right under Hoover, directly under Hoover. Anthony Hilder was a decades-long Gunderson crony.
Yeah, we'll get there. I was just going over the deception of it first.
That will give them more connections that they can make.
Okay.
Okay, I got you.
I also have another question that we need to bring forward, okay? Since COINTEL in itself is not really used for espionage much, I assume, but it's certainly used against the people that are considered unreliable and unwanted. But it doesn't mean that the government is involved, or it's just certainly a smaller interest group that are using the method?
It's the government. It's the government.
Oh, yeah.
But they also have so-called private contractors under their operations. So they'll get these people to go out and harass and slander and libel, for sure. We can talk about that when we come back.
But it is the government, initiated by the government?
Oh, yeah.
So, basically, the AMA that doesn't want to see any cure for cancer to come forward is pressuring the government to do these things.
Yes. Yes, and vice versa, because they're a symbiotic system.
Okay, we need to...
And I'm echoing again.
That's how the judges are protected and the lawyers are protected.
Yes, yes.
Setting off a fierce gun battle that left two security guards, both attackers dead. This is IRN.
That is not very encouraging as far as being able to fight it.
No, it's not.
That's why we need to have the public become aware of this.
Exactly. That's why we have to continue to expose it, and by the names of, from the highest kingpins to the lowest minions, we have to keep out there exposing them.
Yeah, because otherwise we're not going to get anywhere.
That's right.
interestingly enough, all this stuff, it's nice. This is the backstory that everybody at TruthBroadcastNetwork.com, they're all listening to the back story here and what's going on in between the commercials. That's pretty cool. So it was interesting to hear all that. And yeah, Barbara, it's absolutely true. The government, but isn't it really like the government is really a corporation, as you know, since like 1868, it really became a corporation. So it makes sense that really these corporate oligarchs are controlling not only the government, but of course all of the
Well, are we on the air, by the way?
No, we're actually not on the air. I'm just shooting the breeze, but I'm just curious.
On either network?
No, we're on the air. We're partially on the air. What I should say is we're not on your Orion, but yes, we are broadcasting. We're live, so. But we can curse if you like. I mean, you know, I'm just saying. I'm just kidding, but doesn't matter. It's internet radio. Internet radio.
3 minutes until Orion.
Okay.
Oh, you got 3 minutes, and we could chat quite a bit. And we are broadcasting, as I said. I'll give a little plug out to the people helping us, of course, right now on the break here. We've got TruthBroadcastNetwork.com and Death2NWO.com, Death to the New World Order. So thank you for streaming that. And so let's continue. Yeah, so what were you thinking about that? What I just said about the government.
Howard, no, I'll tell you. I believe I'm from the old school, and I firmly support and defend the United States Constitution. It is the supreme law of the land. I don't care what anybody says about a corporation or all the skullduggery that's going on. We still have those God-given rights, and they are protected and guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution.
Right, but people have to follow it. The people in power have to follow it.
The government is not obeying the Constitution. That's the problem.
Right, intentionally.
And the legal system and everything. And that's what I've always said. Cut it out with this campaign, elect this, elect that. The way the situation is now, the voting is none of the above.
Yes.
None of the above. What are they going to do if people do that? Okay?
Well,
we need to change everything.
Every person needs to stand up for their own individual God-given rights. And if everybody did that, they would not be able to get away with this. There would be just too much of a mass.
Exactly. We outnumber them by tremendous numbers. That's exactly right. You have to be willing. See, the problem with people, there's so much fear. I'm going to just make a quick digression. Yesterday, I'm talking with my mother-in-law's here, and she's a church-going Christian, you know, really very, you know, but very fearful for somebody that is supposed to have so much faith. And I sort of questioned her on that. I was like, well, you know, you're on the surface, you're like the most Christian-looking person. I mean, but you really trusting God and trust the fact that, because she knows what's going on. How could she not? She's my mother-in-law. But she doesn't really, she knows, but she closes her eyes to it. She doesn't want to hear about it. She's afraid of it, and she's afraid of what I'm doing. And I keep saying, well, if you're afraid, what does that tell you? First of all, about the government and everything else. If you got to fear your government, then what country are we living in? I said that on my first show.
It's a dictatorship.
Exactly. It's a fascist. We have a fascist government. Nobody can deny it.
Leave that word out. No. That's not what fascism is.
You're talking to an Italian.
Well, the American have misunderstood everything about fascism. It's not fascist. It's dictatorship. It's a control. It's actually Bolshevik system. So.
Yo, you're right. And Bolshevik is exactly where they. Well, yes, it's exactly where they got the idea from. No doubt, and that's where the money, all the robber barons, that funded the Russian Revolution.
They say the Nazis never went out of business. They never
did. But that's
they just moved.
They became CIA.
Listen, do we hear anything about we are about to come on?
Good.
Here we go.
Here we go. All right.
And we're back.
You already said this is the medical conspiracy?
No, that was the announcer on the intro.
It was?
We're live.
Okay.
Well, listen,
all right.
I just wanted to wrap up my little piece there, and then you can go on, because the medical part of this is the most important thing, I think. That's how they're killing us. I mean, they're killing us. But
oh, absolutely.
And the COINTELPRO attacks against you are just like what happened to me. But Hilder was exposed and it took me only about 4 or 5 hours of research after the show to really know that. And then, we just started going out with it. And that's how I think we've gotten even more attacks, because now we're outing people that are bigger, like, talking about Alex Jones negatively. So that,
and Howard, let's not forget to mention that
Timothy Patrick White.
No. He's like a pipsqueak.
Well, he's just he harassed me too.
Well, exactly.
But Alex Jones is a counter. He is just to control the opposition. That's all he is.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
But Howard, the point that I was going to make is that Anthony Hilder was a longtime crony of the late COINTELPRO kingpin Ted L. Gunderson, who we talked about on the show last week. So there's a connection right there.
Big time. He was married to Diana Rively. In fact, Barbara, you have proof of this through a personal letter. And I've seen it. So,
we talked about that last week on the program, too.
Now, I was astounded that he was involved in child sex trafficking.
Well, I was just going to break in real quick for those that just joined us. This is the Medical Conspiracy on OrionTalkRadio.com, but we're also today being broadcast on TruthFreedom.ws and TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. And we have Barbara Hartwell with us, and we also have Howard Nema of WeAreChange Connecticut. Just thought I'd throw that in. In case somebody was just joining.
ProjectFreedom.ws.
ProjectFreedom.ws. What did I say? Did I say something?
Truth Freedom or something. It was okay. Just Project Freedom, guys. ProjectFreedom.ws.
Okay. All right. We're all for freedom. That is being taken away from us. One way or another, we lost a little bit at the time. We've lost the freedom because nobody's following the Constitution.
Well,
and they
that's
get away
what we're
with
fighting in the Middle East for, for freedom. For freedom.
But I am not even worried about the Middle East. Let's concentrate. That is distraction.
I know.
Let's concentrate on what's happening in
co-opting freedom. That's what it's
I think we should invite Arnie on the program.
Well, he's coon hunting today.
He ate some bad. He's still under the weather.
Okay.
Under the coon. He's been coon hunting today, so, is not available for today. But he'll be back maybe next week. Depends on how far we get with this today. But so the reason why we're doing all of this is to have a good laugh. But beside that, to show how the same methods are being used on everybody that is considered a dangerous person. Now, dangerous to whom? The country or the controlling groups that want to really pillage the country, destroy it, destroy the life in the U.S.? I just am getting ready to post a WordPress blog. I don't know if it's been gone up already or not about this subject. It just is another form of taking away everything our founding father fought for. Taking away all the freedom, and creates a situation that are nothing more than a Bolshevik system. A few people having all the money and all the wealth, and the rest are suffering and being enslaved.
Exactly. And who they're targeting here is called, quote, dissidents. Right. Anybody who has the nerve, who has the courage to stand up and, for this country, for our God-given rights, individual rights, God-given, unalienable rights.
And see, the thing is that these things used to happen and they probably still do, in communist Russia, and we were always jumping in and said, we are the champions and we are helping these people that are dissident. They're being incarcerated, they are being shut up, they're being sent to prison out there somewhere in the middle of nowhere. We were the champions in the eyes of the world. And now, what are we doing? We're doing it to our own people. So how hypocritical the whole thing is. We are doing it to our own people. And why? Because all the money has to be concentrated up on the top. And it started with Reagan with the trickle-down. Well, obviously, from the example of everywhere else in the world, that so-called trickle-down policy does not work.
No, it doesn't.
Of course not, no. Absolutely not. And you hit on very many important things that are critical. What they're doing, in my view, and from my research, I see that the whole idea is to sort of get everybody. Of course, we know they're dumbing down the education system. We know that the mainstream media and the television is just mind control. So that's to distract you and to control you while they rape and pillage. But the thing is, it is unbelievably apparent that since they are looking to destroy sovereignty and take away borders, like Mexico, like not protecting the borders, saying that the Mexicans are leaving because there's more, the economy's better in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, that all, and so we don't need troops there anymore, and we're going to move them out. Meanwhile, Eric Holder is running guns with the Fast and Furious, lying like Anthony Hilder, and so it's just an insane mind control psyop on the population because we don't even see ourselves as being bad. Torture is good. Jack Boucher's on 24. He's cool. Kiefer Sutherland's cool. I like that. It's cool to see these things. That's how they've gotten people to be desensitized. The video games, the graphic video games, using real military equipment, using real ammo. I mean, as far as the classifications of it, it is all, and then forget about the dumbing down of the education system, as we know. So this has all been done to bring away the borders, to end sovereignty, to make us all dependent on a financial system that they've collapsed. So the banks are gonna collapse everything, and then come in with the solution. The world government
are ripping people off, but you're also one thing that you need to look at, and people need to look at. What is happening is nothing much different. Remember that old movie, Logan's Run?
Yes.
That
was on the other night.
Right, because people over 30 had to be terminated. Okay, well, you know what? That is happening. Because what they do is they're using the medical system to get people sick and trapped, covered, stuffed with drugs that make them unaware of their surroundings. They are eliminating the precious older population, the ones they've seen it all, the ones that finally understand what is going on and they can advise the young ones. They don't want that. We want young, stupid people that cannot see the truth so they can control it. So what you do, you eliminate the older ones. You eliminate it one way or another. That's no different than Logan's Run.
And it's also in Hitler's Nazi Germany, they had a program like that where they would actually exterminate I forget the name of it, it's T something, a Hitler program. Where they exterminated the older people.
Yeah,
just got rid of them.
Older people and feeble-minded people and mentally ill people.
Yeah. But in Germany was a different angle, and scientists were really respected. It was just a different thing, okay? And it
really wasn't, though, because it was eugenics. They did it intentionally. I mean, that's the whole thing. It was a culture that they cultivated.
But it wasn't eugenics for the entire population. It's just a certain group of the population to support the Aryan. It's just a different point of view. Now, of course, you also have to keep in mind one thing, and nobody looked into it. Hitler did a lot of good in the early days to the country. Then all of a sudden he went bonkers. He went crazy. What happened? If you look at the history of what happened, he had this doctor that was being next to him, controlling him, giving all this garbage, feeding him this story, what his diet should be, all this medication. And then he went crazy. See, that was still the medical controlling him and changing the history through the medical with the excuse that this person needed medical assistance. And it's still happening now, okay?
Well, he's had syphilis, too, didn't he?
Right, but I don't know.
That kind of messes
That's true. And he suffered from flatulence, yes.
Right.
That's true. I mean, you know.
I read that in an
But
article about his doctor.
these people were occultists.
Oh, we got it.
Yes.
Right, the Zool Society.
The medical
Exactly.
conspiracy
Yeah.
with Dr. Carpenter.
Very nice. I like that. I like that song too. That's a good song.
And one thing that I was leading to is that happened to me because when I I was here, and the law in Oklahoma are that you do not have an overseeing physician, but they started harassing me. Arkansas started harassing the medical board here, and then so they went around and started harassing me, although they shouldn't have. And I had to hire a doctor who cost me a fortune, but this particular doctor was a woman, and she was trying to get me in a control position. And one of the things she said, well, you don't believe in physician, but we need to get to work on that one. You need to go see a doctor and have being tested. And look at her, are you kidding? And
Tested for what?
Well, yearly checkup. Check if you have problems, or they come up later, and then it'll be too late. So you need to have, through the regular routine of seeing a physician, having a physical every year, and then listening to the garbage they say, which I've never done in my life.
So they can give you cancer?
I don't do it either.
Yeah.
No?
Well, did you know, I'm not sure you know that, but remember Evita Peron?
Yes.
Yes.
That's how they killed her. They eliminated her because Peron was an idiot. She was the brain, and she was the one that was guiding him. Okay, so
that I know. Yes.
They needed her out of the picture. They killed her. They gave her cancer with radiation. She obviously she was being exposed, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, that is how they do it. I worry about that a lot. With the radiation, because they can.
Can we talk about that when we get back? I think that's really interesting because they not only have injections. They have injections that will give somebody cancer, but they also have injections that will give somebody AIDS.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that was this...
Let me clarify something. You can have injection to give somebody AIDS. You cannot give them injection that cause cancer, okay? Radiation will, but not injection, okay?
Well,
No, it depends. I've read... Dr. Carpenter, I must say that I've read the Defense Authorization Act 1970... where they said they were building up, they created AIDS. The AIDS virus is a bioweapon. And cancer, SV40 simian virus causes cancer, right?
No, you can't do that.
You can't put that in a vaccine?
No, because you cannot vaccinate a person against cancer. See, that's a big...
No, not against cancer. No, I'm saying it gives you cancer.
No, you can't, because cancer is an electronic malfunction. The signal in your body, that is a chemical signal, but it becomes electronic, instead of being mechanical, is electronic, and it causes the cells to trigger the mechanism so they stay in continuous growth. Now you cannot do it with an injection, okay? They keep telling you all sorts of garbage about cancer, what cancer is, and I don't know whether that's
No, but I'm just saying because there are again the polio shots, the polio vaccines that were given to like I don't know 100 million people in the United States.
We're
coming back.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think there's adjuncts that causes.
We're back on the air.
Yeah, what Howard was talking about, though, is kind of related to the Dr. Mary's monkey story.
I know, but it's not true, okay? Let me go back to the... Okay, we have a lot of people today, and it's kind of a madhouse, but we're back from the break, and we are continuing on. And one of the things that our COINTEL expert was saying is we need to discuss something about how another form of eliminating dangerous people was, I don't know if they can always pull it off, but try to make them sick, give them a disease, so they will be under medical control and they can be either killed off that way, that won't be questionable, or and nobody will question it. Well, like people today are killed, they have cancer, they're killed with the treatment, and they're killed with the morphine, and they really don't die of cancer.
Well, they pull them in for just a lump, and then they give them cancer.
They have weaponized. I don't know how they do it because I'm not a doctor and I'm not in any way a scientist, so I wouldn't know how they do it. But I know that they have developed weaponized cancer and AIDS, however they administer.
Well, I don't know, but AIDS is possible because you can inject something, the virus, and you can create problem. With cancer is not caused by a virus. You cannot inject it. And contrary to all the...
No, not a virus. I'm talking about some other methodology where somehow they inflict a fast-growing, like really, really bad form of cancer and somebody dies like really fast?
Well, they die fast from treatment, okay?
Well, that's true, we know, but...
You can induce cancer with radiation, and people might not be aware that they're being radiated, and that's what I was discussing before about history. They have done it before, and one big example was Evita Peron. She was the brain behind the Peron dictatorship and what he was doing and how he was running the country. She was the brain, and a lot of people wanted to kill him, and she protected him, and she advised him on how to be. She was really a very smart woman, and they considered her a threat. That's how she ended up getting cancer, and that they had to, was too convenient. They had to have caused an exposure to radiation while you're not aware of it. And I think when she went to medical checkup, that's how they did it. And she ended up developing cancer, and then she died. And then after that, Peron lost his power, wasn't able to, because he really was not a really smart man. She was really, he is a wing, you know. The wind be underneath the wings, you know, that from that song. That's what she was, and that's what they do. And I think that there's some indication that they did the same with Hitler. They just got a doctor that was controlling what he was doing, and he was actually not eating, only taking all this. That's where all the...
Well, he was eating raw foods, too.
Right, was eating raw food, and he was eating, he was drinking those juices like they're giving it to cancer patients and all that. So juicing. And then, of course, that doesn't work. And you know what they say to the patient? It didn't work because you didn't juice enough. I mean, all bunch of garbage. But that's what has been used, the method to make the person sick or being controlled by the medical so they can eliminate them. That's what they tried to do to me when I had that doctor working for me. That's really going to work with me. I've been fighting since I was a little kid. I've been fighting our family doctor. So I've always fought him.
Oh, I can understand that. I can tell you, Dr. Carpenter, when we were kids in my family, we had CIA doctors. I'm not joking here. CIA doctors and dentists. Those are the ones that would take care of us. And many years later, the building of the main doctor that we had, his office, his building, he's long dead now, but his building burned to the ground along with all our medical records. So nobody could ever check, because they were also involved in all this genetic engineering and eugenics within CIA. I'm talking about the families that were there. So they're always on the case trying to do something.
Okay, in my case, could not be the CIA because I was in Italy. But our family doctor was actually a good man, and he had a lot of respect for me. He kept bugging me that he said I should study medicine. I said, are you kidding? Okay, with all the dishonesties going on, I'm not going to do that. And he said, well, that's why you should be in it, because you can straighten it out. There I am today trying to. So actually, he was a pretty smart guy. He saw things that my parents couldn't see. But anyway, that's another. And I've been fighting my family doctor since then. And I have been fighting doctors since I came in the U.S. was even worse, because people have this attitude that at least in Europe does not exist, that the doctor is a god and whatever he says is gospel, and you have to listen to whatever he or she says. Come on, people. They're idiots, okay? They're nothing more than trained patsy. You see this and you do that. You see this and you use this medication.
Exactly.
And that's medicine.
And they're just there for to like enrich the big pharma, the medical market, and the big pharma.
And themselves.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Dr. Carpenter, for sure. I mean, we all know, I'm sure, certainly you know, that it all came from the foundations. Like the pivotal years that we have in this last 100 years is 1913. And the same time they founded the foundations, basically Big Pharma was really put into as an investment business, the pharmaceutical business, the petrochemical pharmaceutical business. Right. And as we know, Dow goes off into making the chemical stuff later on. And the Rockefellers took over the pharmaceutical side.
Right.
And now they're merging like Monsanto, with even worse, with biogenetics, with like creating
But only because we let him, okay? Because when the doctor said this, and now Come on, how can people agree to go for chemo when they know that chemo came from mustard gas? And it was developed from the... And why did it start in the U.S. only after the end of World War II, when we were able to get access to the research papers done by the Nazis, that we discovered all this information, and then we ran off with it as it was our own, and the drug company took it over, and they developed chemo from mustard. That was
mustard gas.
That was
well, you remember that.
It's just like rat poison for water to make your teeth better. They put
fluoride is rat poison. You took fluoride out of my mouth, Howard.
Fluoride started in the Nazi camps too.
And it was rat poison too.
Randy, I am so impressed with your deep knowledge of history. It's amazing. It's great. I love to have conversations.
We had, and we still have it somewhere, is a newspaper clipping in German that I have no idea. I didn't ever translated it, but I saw enough to know that it was a newspaper clipping from the early 1940s. In Nazi Germany, and it said a woman going through breast cancer screening, and she had her breast in a press like a mammogram, except for a little differences in the equipment. It looked identical to a woman today having a mammogram. And this was Nazi Germany.
Yes, it all came from that type of research. Anything that was done in Germany. Come on, NASA came from the research on missile that were German research. Okay, we didn't do anything here. It was all done from Europe. And then they took it over.
Also getting people sick, getting back to getting people sick. People like Frank Olson, who was, basically made bioweapons. I mean, there's some really bad stuff out there. And we all know the anthrax attack was probably some sort of a psyops from the CIA or trying to do something.
Who knows what it was, but listen.
Well, just yesterday they closed a post office right here. A post office here in Connecticut, or they had found white powder. All of a sudden, white powder showing up all over the place. I don't know if you've noticed this in the news, but...
And it was actually somebody having fun with the powdered sugar?
Yeah, it's funny, right, exactly. But it's like to get everybody scared, like if you see something...
Yes, and Alex Jones is the big one. And Alex Jones is the big one. It scares people. We got to...
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm a big Van Halen fan, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Van Halen over Van Hagar.
Yeah. But that's because the ego of what's his face was so out of control that they couldn't handle it. So he left because he thought he could have.
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
Almost to realize that he couldn't.
Who's that?
David Lee Roth.
Oh.
It was definitely much better with David Lee Roth.
Much better.
I never liked Sammy Hagar, but hey, that's show business. People in show business are so prima donnas. They've always been.
And they say, well, I want to see the evidence. You go, okay.
That's why I like to hear them, and I don't want to see them. I don't want to know anything about their lives. I don't want to do anything. Stay away from me. I just want to hear.
Okay, right, okay. So the next thing he comes was our case. Go.
It's JJ.
Alive. And then they're like, what? Oh, no, you're, well, so if you really don't want evidence.
I want to welcome everyone to the show. Room 101 is the name.
Now I hear it loud in the background.
Yeah.
I think they turned up.
I'm going to step away from the mic for just a minute.
Same here.
Right back.
Let's see if they have mine yet.
When he needed to be...
This is a different clip of it.
Oh.
Orion News Talk, news and views beyond.
But I had a couple of notes written out as far as things that we meant to talk about last week and didn't. And
like what? What did
well, the Google warfare, the idea of poster children and like terror, and the boogeyman theory and things like that as they relate to story.
The Becca story.
And we've touched a little already on the controlled opposition. We haven't brought Mr. Adams into the Alex Jones disinfo show though.
Well, we have so many things to talk about. It's ridiculous. It's almost, we only have half an hour left, and I don't really believe we cover even a small portion of what we want to cover.
Two attackers hidden in their shoes fled into a provincial governor's compound in southern Afghanistan, setting off a fierce gun battle that left 2 security guards and both attackers dead. This is Orion USA Radio News.
Hey guys, remember when you were 18 with boundless energy and the stamina to do anything?
We're still live on Truth Broadcast Network.
Really?
I believe so.
So basically, we can talk and it
I think Howard's muted, but
Oh.
everything you say can and will be used against you, Dr. C.
Well, yes, and I really couldn't care less because I'm telling people the truth. And what you were saying about the poster child, that's what they did with the Cindy Bebeka case. Oh, she died. She had 6 kids. Now, this woman had six kids in 8 years. Okay? And don't tell me her health was not shot. Okay? But that's another issue. Well, she died because she came to us and then she believed what I said and followed my directive, and that's how she died. No, she never followed any of my directive. She never did what I told her to do. Not only that, I only treated for breast cancer. And as it turned out that she also had thyroid cancer, which I never treated, because she didn't want to. She wanted to spend the additional money, and she wanted to continue with the petitioner.
With Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, what's up?
Tell me your problems. Tell you hate your mother. Tell me your deep thoughts. I can help you. You can trust me.
Isn't that good?
Would I lie to you?
Sorry.
I love it.
No.
The medical
Fear. Fear.
One of the hosts on our on Orion, I won't say who it is, did not like it. Does not like all the music we have and all the fun we have.
I think it's great.
I think so. You gotta. It's a bad situation, and we gotta fix it. But if you don't laugh about it, you're gonna remain in fear, and then you will accomplish nothing. Because fear is paralyzing you, just like you're talking about your mother-in-law case. Fear will paralyze.
You're right. No,
that's
you're absolutely right.
And
but also, you got to entertain the listeners. Right. They don't want to listen to some dry, gloomy people droning on.
Obviously, they do because they listen to Alex Jones.
You know, Dr. Carpenter, it's funny.
I just try to get the word out. I just try to sit here and be a moral person and do the right thing.
Love it. Dude, that's just great. That's just amazing.
You know, during the break, though, we brought up something that we wanted to talk about last week and we never got around to, is the false flag terror aspect and the poster children. On one, you got the false flag terror. On one side, you have the poster children. On the other side, you have the manufactured boogeyman, and that you can apply that, to a lot of different scenarios. It's happened in this country all the time.
The boogeyman is the boogie woman, and it's me.
It's not Joseph Kony this time. A couple years ago, it was Dr. Carpenter's. They manufactured poster children, and they committed false flag murder, basically.
They killed them with what they did to them, and then they said it was me, and it has nothing to do with what I did. And if they follow what I said, none of that would have happened. But they didn't. The thing is that they're hiding the facts, and they're false flag. And they're hiding the facts. They're hiding the truth of what really happened. And my attorney was saying, no, you cannot discuss the cases. You can only answer the question of the press in a general form. You cannot answer in any detail. What is good is going to do? They're giving me detailed cases, and I cannot discuss it. No, you can't. So basically, I was gagged by my own... the people that are supposed to help me. And so I couldn't say anything. And then I found out, and this is what we are discussing in our new video, and then I found out that being an alternative practitioner, homeopathic medicine, holistic medicine, a naturopathic doctor are not bound by HIPAA rules. So you can talk about a case, not to mention the fact that they already talked about the case of concern in order to attack me. But what the lawyers were telling me, oh, yes, they are disclosing it, but you cannot answer that, which is ridiculous. And so I didn't say anything. And then, as I said, I found this, I had totally forgotten about that document that discusses the case of the Rebecca. And that was a typical poster child based on lies. She died because of the standard treatment, because she had another cancer that we did not treat, as spread, and created a mess. But it was her choice not to be treated by us for thyroid cancer. But she had that too. How can I be responsible for what happened because we only treated breast cancer? So,
because you're the scapegoat. You're not responsible, obviously. You were made into the scapegoat because they have it in mind to shut you down.
Right, because why would they want to shut me down? We had a small operation. They are afraid of public opinion.
Yes.
They're afraid of people talking to one another and saying, hey, this is what happens. And they got to the extreme. See, I killed the cancer in place, and that's all I do, but I cannot do anything else. The rest is in the hand of your system, of your immune system, to eliminate that tissue. And it's a slow process. It's normal. It took years to develop the cancer. It takes years to eliminate the dead tissue. That's just normal. That's how the body works. So nothing get overworked. But they hold against me, oh, the tumor is still there. They are having this and that problem. The problems they're having are based on what they do, because they don't believe the cancer is gone. It's dead, in place. They do the wrong testing because this is something totally different. It doesn't fall into any category that anything that you've seen before, and the tests they used before do not apply to this case. But do they want to hear it? No, because they are stubborn, stupid, full of themselves, and because their money depends on it.
That's right. As we spoke about last week, Dr. Carpenter, the whole operation here being run against you is because if enough people really found out about this alternative treatment, which doesn't kill the patients, like the slash, cut, burn radiation from the AMA, then more people would flock to your treatments. They would recover, they would be healed, and those people, the medical mafia and the big pharma, would lose money.
Right, big money. Yeah.
Yes.
And the idea is to keep somebody sick forever, and that's what they're doing. And eliminating them.
It's treating. It's no cure. They never talk about a cure. It's all about it's treatment. There's a race for you ever go and get a prescription for a cure? Here's your treatment, right?
Yeah, and it's a maintenance type of thing.
Oh, speaking of the cure, Dr. C, I know you don't know about this because I didn't know about this, and Howard just told me about this yesterday. Did you know that the Komen Foundation sponsored a perfume called Promise that now some people believe may be linked to breast cancer?
That causes breast cancer? I don't know.
Yeah, Susan just told me, definitely.
But what causes breast cancer is mammogram, okay? And one thing that I was going to discuss on the show this week, but then we have all these guests, I didn't get around to do it, was last fall, General Electric said that they were going to spend all these millions to further research for breast cancer. And they were taking proposal and people. So I was stupid enough to send them a letter and saying, we're not talking about research because this has been done. I have the evidence that its work is just a business proposal. It's not a grant. I eventually got an answer, and it was the most arrogant statement that you could hear. And basically their mentality is, our expert and our scientists, true scientists, know it all. So if anything that is out there, they're already aware of it, they already know. So.
And they're working hard to suppress it.
No, they didn't say that. So what you're doing is obviously not anything of significance. We're not interested. They have to insult you to do that. And then what happened last week, I read this thing on the web that General Electric, is coming out with this new device, which is a new form, with new equipment to handle mammograms better. So it gives you better mammogram because early detection is important, and this can give you a better view of what's happening sooner. And guess what? Instead of having one type of X-ray, it uses two types of X-ray. Nice. So you get hit double when you go for these. So they're good for you because they're going to find it sooner. Not that they're going to create it. So the improvement is they're going to give you more X-rays, which is a certainty to give you cancer, okay?
A double dose of radiation.
Yes.
Yes, and again, it's General Electric. Now, we're going back to, like, this is like where I research. Now, General Electric, for like over 100 years, has been in bed with our government, so tightly knit that they're like joined at the hip. They pay no taxes. They are allowed to build coal plants wherever they want, but anyone else that does them, they'll be bankrupt. Obama even, that's the only campaign promise that he kept, is that he bankrupt you if you try to start a new coal mine, even though it's cleaner than it used to be. So, I mean, the whole thing is just a control grid as they build up China, as you know, using General Electric, who pays no taxes, having a workforce in foreign countries primarily. It's just this is the collectivism. This is how they're deindustrializing us.
No, actually, what they're doing is they're helping skyrocket the revenue of large corporation, because when they have a plant outside the U.S., they don't have to pay Social Security taxes. They don't have to pay anything. And so they give a contract to them. Whatever they do, those plants, how much they mistreat workers is none of their business. They're not involved in it. They're just paying and contracting them. And what happens, that money goes to the people that have created those plants, to the big, and the poor everyday people are still exploited. It's just disgusting. It's just to bring the money up on the top and then trickle down the crumbs. That's what it is. It's disgusting.
But, you know, it goes even deeper than that, you know, because, again, the Rockefeller Foundation and the Club of Rome are, like, absolutely hell-bent on killing us. Like, and they even write it on paper. I mean, it's like, we have to do something about population problems. We have to put sterilants in vaccines. You got a nut.
But that doesn't go along with what they're trying to say, no abortion, and people have to keep having kids. Because
Orwellian doublethink.
Yes.
But because they want the younger ones that are stupid and can be controlled. They don't want the older ones. That's why those are getting killed. Controlled and killed and doped with drugs. They take out all the life-saving with medical help, and they cause diseases on them, and then they die. They got all the money, and these people are incapable of helping the young ones. That's the issue. Don't allow wisdom to go to younger people. They have to be controlled.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just, and people don't see it. And now you have this younger generation, they know it all because they're told they know it all. So the parents tell them something, no, that's not true because they know it all.
Well, also you have an education system where everybody wins, and you have like a system where there are they design it so there's no one who's a winner. They take away the competitiveness. Everyone, you know, they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Everything's about, we don't want to hurt your feelings. So like, you know, and we don't want to, you can't play dodgeball because you might get hurt. So, you know, it's all of this, again, programming, control, to weaken the people, especially the males. They really do this.
Women too.
But males can fight. That's what I mean. They really want to. They want to. You know.
It's just control. I mean, and it's just a stupid mentality, and they're pushing football. Football is for idiots, okay?
You bet.
That's what football is. and it's just unbelievable. When we had another doctor that we had.
Well, it's military program. It's I know because I played football in high school, and it was so much like Naval Academy basic.
Yeah.
That it wasn't even funny.
That way with football, by going to church all the time and football, they control you in everything, so you don't have a moment of freedom and a moment to stop and think. Football is for idiot. I had one of the doctors we had here in Oklahoma. He was a DO, and he saw one day my grandson came by. I saw my grandson. I think there was something wrong with the computer, and they out of class, so everybody had to come. So my grandson was just really a big guy. He really is strong and big. And he said, "Oh, are you in football?" No.
Just assuming.
Yeah, because
That's how I got pulled into it, because I was a big kid.
Doesn't want you.
I didn't really enjoy it. I was miserable every minute of it.
I thought you were on the bench most of the time.
Yeah, I was in high school. In junior high, I started. Got into high school. I stopped growing. Everybody else started getting,
I had to beg my son not, and he didn't. I begged my son not to play football. Well, he played baseball, and he was really good, and he enjoyed it. He didn't play football, and they tried to get him on that too, because he was big, like 6'1", right?
Okay.
Right.
And
I think we're coming back.
We are. Didn't you say they tried to convince him to apply to the Naval Academy too?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
I wish I had been that smart.
Okay. We are getting back, and for the last segment of this program today, and obviously we didn't cover, not even close, all the things we needed to discuss. It's been fun, but we didn't cover much of anything. What did you say that we forgot to present?
Well, a little about controlled oppositions out there, because we talked about Alex Jones.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Mike Adams, and listen,
and right, that's what I wanted to bring in, if you could, because there's a lot of people right now in the truth community that he is the last word.
Yeah,
okay, why don't you tell us about that, Randy? Because this is a person, the name, it's a name that I've heard, but I don't know of him, and I don't think I've ever heard. Is he a radio host?
No, he's naturalnews.com. He also calls himself the Health Ranger. Health Ranger, right. Well, he's up until...
His guest well, see, it used to be that supposedly the government didn't like what he was doing, so he left the U.S. and went to Ecuador. And then last year, for some strange reason, he came back.
On Alex Jones's radio show.
Oh, on Alex Jones. Bingo.
Yeah. Okay. And the thing about Mike Adams, when he posts something, he tells you, he starts off with something that is true, like he's informing you on the bad things. And usually, in many cases, is after I've said something on my show, but he will discuss, okay, mammograms are bad, radiation, all of that. And things that are true, partial truth. But then he attacks you with his agenda, and it's based on the same thing as Alex Jones: fear, instill fear in people.
Okay, is his newsletter or whatever it is it about health issues? Is that
yes?
Okay,
yes,
got
it's
it.
mostly about health issues, and it gives you this phony advice about you cannot eat this, you cannot eat that, you cannot.
Okay, now what's his background? Does he have any professional background in this area of any kind?
Not that I know of. We don't.
I know a little bit about him. I know quite a bit, actually. He claims to be a former big pharma rep.
Oh, really?
That was like very, very overweight, obese, and had problems such as diabetes. And by his holistic changes, he is now the person you see today.
And what person is that?
Somebody that's not obese and in good shape and supposedly very healthy and lives a good
that's
life.
That's what he
and
said.
He's no longer a big pharma rep.
All right, that's the biggest thing I noticed about his website. It's anti-pharma.
I don't know if he was heavy, and I don't know how he lost. If he was actually.
These are his words, not this is. He said this on air. I've heard him say this on air.
Yeah, and he says a lot of things that are just ridiculous, especially when they push this diet. You have to realize that all this diet that they push, they're really not healthy for you, even though people think they are. They are not. So you're going to be sick, and you're going to need all these supplements. Okay, the same with Marcola. Okay, it's not any different. You have to have this supplement and that supplement, and you cannot buy...
Marcola sells his own cookware, too.
Right,
You can't use Farberware or Tefal or any of that, because it can do bad things to you.
Okay, now let me ask you this about this other person. What's the name? Is Mike Adams?
Yeah.
So you defined him from the beginning in the category of like Alex Jones controlled opposition.
Yes.
So what is it that he's doing? What is it that he's doing that's like herding people into his corral or sucking them in?
It's giving wrong advice on what they need to do in what's available. First, he tells them, yes, this is dangerous, that is dangerous. That's correct. Radiation is dangerous, chemotherapy. He says a lot of things, but then he turns around and pushes this and that other nonsense. for his own interest. And basically, those are things that make you sick.
Okay, but I have to say this, Dr. C, though, because when he really jumped off the map at us was when Dr. Carpenter was in the heat. I mean, the throes of passion of this attack, and related lawsuit that was all happening together. Mike Adams was pushing a story about basically the controlled opposition's patron saint of persecuted cancer healers, Stanislaw Brzezinski, who Dr. Carpenter has firsthand knowledge from close to a dozen ex-patients that is working with the system now and pushing chemotherapy.
He has been doing for years.
Okay, I remember that you told me that offline in a private conversation.
Right.
And I remember being kind of shocked at that because it sounded like this guy was heading in the right direction. Suddenly he went crossed back over.
He made a deal somehow.
Yes, exactly.
Well, they went and see, that's the thing. He said he had this stuff, the anti-blastone that he extracts from urine, and they help brain cancer, but then he uses it for everything. And then they went after him. He's an MD, so it's pretty easy to do. And
in fact, the way they went after him was identical to the way they went after Dr. Carpenter.
Yeah, they spent $60 million to find patients that disagree and wanted to sue him. And he was covered with a barrage of lawsuits. The difference is that they found it for him, and they found all these patients that would sue him. And so they attacked him, and they put him in jail, and then, they ended up having the lawsuit. And he had an attorney that was really a member of the system, so...
So do you think what they did is they finally intimidated him and he caved and went over back to their...
Well, his interest is money, okay?
Yeah, okay.
It must be. Did you ever see his facility, Doctor?
It's huge.
Oh, my God. It's unbelievable. It's like freaking massive. I mean,
right.
with the big name Brzezinski written across the top, like he's totally into his head. No doubt.
If you go to his website and read the preamble, the intro on the front page, it's like 3 words that are nested into this huge paragraph: must meet criteria. And that's the key of the whole thing, is that you don't meet the criteria, you don't get the anti-neoplastin therapy.
Yeah, but he rules the people. Well, he's putting that now, but he lures the people there. And you know what? You said this facility is amazing. Well, at the tune of $75,000 at least per person, I would say, he can.
No, okay. I'm saying that's obviously his goals. It's for money instead of, clearly it's a fancy place, Like, why would it be fancy if you're trying to help people? Use all the resources to help people, right?
Yeah.
Not build this palace.
They were
now let me ask, though, was this Dr. Carpenter? This is or Randy maybe said this. This is the same guy that this Mike Adams started promoting at the same time that you had your COINTELPRO attacks.
Yes.
So you think it was like a misdirection type?
Sure.
Exactly. That's exactly what
I think. There are people that do alternative, but they're really good and they are successful.
Because we have approached Mercola and Adams and several others when all of this mess started 3 years ago. Mercola actually wrote an article about 4 years ago that included Dr. Carpenter along with Stanislaw Brzezinski and some others.
That's what he did. It just listed the name.
But none of them would respond to us. And shortly after that, here comes the Brzezinski movie and, the push to promote.
Brzezinski is a hero, but I've had so many patients that went there, didn't accomplish anything. They came to me and they said it cost a tremendous amount of money, and it really didn't do anything for them. In fact, they were put into so much chemo that they ended up. I had a patient that went there. She had neck cancer. Okay, well, actually, she started out with lung cancer. They did all that they do with radiation and everything. She ended up to have cancer on her neck. And she was from Las Vegas. She went to Brzezinski. And what Brzezinski did, besides giving her all his stuff, he put her on Tarceva. Tarceva now is no longer allowed to be used except for lung cancer. And you know why? Because when you use it for lung cancer, you can't see what it's really doing. But Tarceva the way it works is it blocks the formation, just like Avastin, block the formation of new blood vessels, and the tissue decays and dies off. It's just a mess. Well, when she came to me after going through that and becoming a greater mess, this woman had neck cancer. With Tarsiva, she was bleeding from her eyelids.
Oh, my God.
She looked like she had taken a lipstick and drew a line marking all around her eyes, and she was red, bright red, and bleeding from that.
And this is a pharmaceutical, Dr. Carpenter?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Now the FDA does not allow it to be used for anything else except for lung cancer. You know why? Because it destroys the tissue. You don't see it. It's in your lungs.
Oh.
It's a genetically engineered. It's a genetically engineered drug, just like Avastin. So,
can I just add one thing? I'm sorry, Barbara. You know, that again, it goes back to the FDA. You know, Michael R. Taylor, head of the FDA, Monsanto, biogenetic research included with Big Pharma, as well as the food and as well as everything else, as you know. So that's just insidious. They kill you from the inside and you don't even see it.
Yeah, but that is people that agree to have drugs. They agree to chemo. And what Brzezinski does, he has his whole an whole pack of MD working for him. And he gets this meeting and he says, well, we tried with what he has and it's not working, so you need these drugs. Okay? That's what he does. And even recently, I got a patient from Australia that went to Brzezinski first, and that's what she told me. And when she came to me, she was on Herceptin and on Femara, two horrible drugs. And it was decided that at Brzezinski, I had the hardest time trying to pull her out of it and proving to her how bad they were. So he pushes, and that happened after the lawsuit. And in fact, that's in the Susan Summer book. Oh, man, we are at the end of the 2 hours. We can't even finish.
Wish we could get back that lost few minutes from the beginning.
I know we couldn't finish covering this because I wanted to expose what really happened. Anyway.
The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Barbara Hartwell and Howard Nema. And,
well, thank you for having us.
And Truth Broadcast Network.
Thank you very much. And ProjectFreedom.ws, we're still broadcasting for till 8 p.m. So I'll just, we'll just...
Need to finish up the Brzezinski?
You might as well. We'll have it on record. In fact, we can continue, and I'll send you the audio, and you can edit it up, Randy, and do what you need to, so we can, as you know... Okay. It'll be nice. You can add it a little tail to what we're talking about as we move into the situation that I'm going to be bringing up. But please continue.
Commercial breaks on your network.
I know we do three straight hours. We're like hardcore gorillas. I don't know what to say.
So you're hour 3 now, right, Howard?
We're in hour 3.
Okay.
And I'm going to just say hello when we start. But yeah, but before I would go right back, and then Randy, by all means, just cut it up and. You know, make it seamless so it continues on the tail of your show, please.
We'll do. Thanks.
Okay. All right.
So just finish what you were saying, and we'll move on, and then I'll do I'm not under any restraint as far as making a time to make a station announcement, you know? So just keep going.
What happened with Brzezinski was one of my patients sent me information from the book of Susan Summer. She discusses different alternative practitioner, and of course there's a section for Brzezinski, and said Brzezinski was in trouble. They wanted to, in the 90s, they wanted to take away his license, and has this attorney that helped him, and maybe he can help you. This is the name of the attorney. Why don't you contact him? And what I did was I contacted him, even though I knew that his attorney, what he did is just manipulated things so he'd be pulled into the system. But I contacted him and I explained the situation. He asked me to send information, written information on the lawsuit and everything, and then call me back. And I'm telling you that all he did is cover me with insults. All he did is he was trying to make me feel how guilty I was, to make myself feel bad about it because I was doing things I was not supposed to be, and this was a bunch of nonsense. And who did I think I was? An attorney that I was trying to find a way to defend my position. I was not an attorney and I shouldn't be doing this, and all insults. And then one other thing that he said was, I have a lot of friends that are physicists.
It's a game changer in the home-based
A lawyer has a lot of friends that are physicists, and I do not sound like a physicist. I do not sound like a physicist, so therefore I'm a fraud. Okay? And
Howard,
what does...
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes!
I think Orion is still broadcasting on my stream. Is there something
I can hear him too.
Yeah, well, all you got to do, it's on your stream. All you got to do is, I mean, we're all just going out there. I mean, so Orion, there, it just died right there. No problem.
That's me.
Thank you for that, Randy.
Thank you.
For your backlog action there.
This is weird to me. I've never done this before.
Well, you know, this is an experience. We did pretty good, guys. I think it was great. I mean, really. I mean, we'll get it. We'll try something like this with a little more effort. And it sort of came up last minute, and we had those. I don't know. We couldn't get onto your station. I'm telling you.
I think the problem was having multiple group chats and trying to connect them together. That it makes it pretty impossible.
It was very complicated, and then it was just really weird. But thank God we got it all together, and it was really awesome. And like I said, we're still on the air. It's pretty much. I really do want you to bring this to as much of a conclusion as you'd like. You know, take your time.
It doesn't have that much longer, except that.
Well, because we had hours a long time, and for what again. I just have some stuff that we're going to announce, and maybe some people might be calling in and other things like that.
Okay.
And so, but that'll, you certainly have plenty of time to keep. I'm intrigued, literally. So, so keep going, please. Yeah.
So, in my phone call, first of all, I obviously was a fraud because I didn't sound like a physicist. Because he had friends that were physicists, and so he knew. Like every person sounds like the other, that you figure out whether they're physicists or not on the basis of what they say, not sound alike. Well, I don't sound pompous, and that's true, but...
Yeah, that is true, for sure.
So, but anyway, and then he said that basically what I was presenting was nonsense. So I was trying to get off the phone, and he didn't let me. So all of a sudden, I said, okay, what color is your car? You're in Houston. What color is your car? And he was taken back. Why are you asking me this? What does that got to do with what I'm saying? Just answer me, what color is your car? And he said, why? Aha, why? And he said, I don't know, it's something to do with the sun. And so I explained to him, the white car rejects most of the heat waves from the sun. A black car absorbs everything. And that's it, the explanation of what we do. We turn this cancer cell and the cancer cells only into black cars. So the light hits everything, but it doesn't affect the healthy cell, only the cancer. It's so simple that it's pathetic, okay? That people say they don't understand and this is a fraud, this is a farce. But anyway, he was taken back by that, but he still went on his attacks, and I just ignored him. But I was put into that position, and I realized that he really, with his attitude, turned Brzezinski to accept the status quo if he wanted to make money. And that's how Brzezinski ended up making money. See, trying to push his whatever he does, then it's pretty much of a nonsense, because there is no real scientific basis of why what he does should work. He says it does, but why?
Apparently he went to gay bars and collected urine from AIDS patients.
Are you serious?
It had to be HIV positive urine.
Yeah.
What he made his...
Oh my God.
You didn't know that, Barbara?
No, I didn't. I didn't. No, because I'd never actually heard of this case until Dr. Carpenter told me about Randy, or Dr. Carpenter told me about it, I think it was yesterday. I didn't know anything about it. I had never heard of it.
Well, now I don't feel so bad about Hilder.
No, but I just know this was just somebody I never heard of. I wasn't hoodwinked. I just didn't know it was a person.
No, I know. I'm just joking.
When all this mess started with Dr. Carpenter, when all this mess started with Dr. Carpenter about 4 years ago, I was on the phone with my dad, of all people, who is actually, he is the one who, over 10 years ago, turned me on to Art Bell. So that was my introduction to whatever you want to call it, alternative conspiracy-based media, but he said, as soon as I told him what was happening to Dr. Carpenter, he says, well, you know, that sounds like Brzezinski. You ever heard of Brzezinski? I said, no, I've never heard of him. And that was the first time I'd ever heard this guy's name. It was from my dad. It was his name was already a household name.
About 8 years ago, okay, and from patient, and I had plenty of other patients, and one of the patients told me, I said, I didn't know that he was handling breast cancer. And she said, he'll take anybody, and for anything, it's the money. And she said she couldn't continue to go see him because it was too much money. And of course, he wasn't doing anything for her anyway. But so he's not any different, and he's got a different name. And another patient in more recent time told me that she went there and she refused chemo. See, a lot of people go there attracted by what he say. They go there, and then all of a sudden they say he says, or his doctor say they have to have chemo. And then the patient say, no, I don't want that. I came here. And there were some of the patients that I warned them in advance. Oh, I'm going to Brzezinski. I said, you don't want to go there. This is your only solution at the stage you are. What we offer is the only way to survive. But you don't want to go to Brzezinski because all he'll give you is chemo. And they did not believe me. And then a couple of weeks later, they called me and said, oh, you were right. Another patient told me that she went there and she refused chemo. So what they did, had her talking to a nutritionist that will give her all these alternative and health type of thing to handle the cancer. The person that was assigned to her, for some reason, became a friend and told her, we have a quota. There is so much per week that we have to sell. Otherwise, you will lose the job.
You know something, Doctor, I can't even believe this, but it's so true. And unfortunately, just recently I lost an uncle to cancer, who incidentally lived like the cleanest life. It's unbelievable. When I bought my first house, he already had for 10 years, he had already had a water filtration system, and he was like, yeah. I said, but New York water is the cleanest water in the world, and he, you know, and he's a vegetarian more or less, didn't really eat very much meat. I shouldn't say completely. Very healthy person, well, not out of shape, and he was in the right weight build for all this good stuff. And he got lung cancer, and it spread to his brain, and he died. Unfortunately, I think he did do some chemotherapy and all that. But then I have my cousin. Now here's the thing. Now he died. He's diagnosed with 4th stage cancer. This is my Richard Melly, who's my uncle, and he passed a couple of weeks back. And it would be, I would say that he had 4th stage cancer for about 4 months and died. Now he did go through chemo. Now this is important. So I'm trying to make a point. My cousin who died some years ago at age 53, now he was 62. My cousin who died a few years ago at age 52 or 53, she had colon cancer, and she went the opposite route. They said if she didn't have the chemo and all of this, she'd live 6 months. And she lived almost 5 years, 4.5 years, almost, something like that. And she went alternatively. I don't know what she did. The whole family demonized her, including myself. And I have to tell you, I mean, I have to take responsibility for the fact that I was a sheeple for many, many years. I woke up in my 40s, you know. So I was like, what are you talking about?
You want to kill people that are a certain age because that's when they realize what's going on. So you kill them off, or you keep him dosed.
You're right, and God knows I probably will have cancer because of what I know about what they've done with the vaccines. And I know we don't really see eye to eye on this, but I mean, they put things that
doesn't do that, except maybe when they put all the preservatives and
yes, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about carcinogens for. I mean, again, I'm not a doctor, but things that are cancer causing.
Well, doctors don't know anything anyway, so.
Well, they just what the Rockefeller Foundation said that they would have in the medical books that Rita Zellweger publishes in all the medical schools, and they also publish sell in Lancet magazine and Variety magazine, as well as owning Comcast cable and 15,000 magazines worldwide. I can go on and on. They own LexisNexis that the CIA and the FBI uses. which is a data mining service. It's just incredible. It's just a company called Rita Zellweger, but it's all connected. It's all part of what we've been talking about for the last few hours.
Well, what I wanted to point out is when you go alternative treatment and all the nonsense of diet, juicing, and the Gerson diet and the other one, whatever the name is, I can't remember right now, that tells you to, Budwig diet, that tells you to eat cottage cheese with the linseed oil. They call it something else, and then they say, no, it's different. But it is the oil used for oil paintings. So you might as well eat an oil paint.
Well, this Rembrandt tastes really good.
It should, with all it costs. But
well, I'm just trying to do the right thing.
Right. But trying to be a moral person.
Randy, can you play that? Can you play that Alex Jones clip again? That's just what we gotta have, you know.
Hang on,
I don't know anymore. I just try to get the word out. I just try to sit here and be a moral person and do the right thing.
Well, that's an excerpt from a longer clip.
Whatever. That's just beautiful.
And we recorded. I recorded it accidentally. I was trying to get some of Alex's rants, just generic rants, one day that I didn't know what I'd do with it, but I had the recorder going, and they played the LaceMed commercial, one of Dr. Carpenter's radio spots on GCN. And he came in during the bumper and says, well, there's a lot of people out there making claims for cancer cures and all. And well, I can't just sit here and not tell you that, people. I mean, it's it could have metastasized. It might kill a tumor, but that doesn't mean it's going to kill the whole thing. You know, I'm just trying to be a moral person, you know, but basically, you know, intercepting the ad basically as it ended.
And sabotaging Dr. Carpenter's advertisement.
Exactly.
To negate the message.
Yeah. Well, she put her ad that night, called Ted Anderson and shoot him a new one.
Well, that's what it is. It's a negate. That's exactly what it is. He's discrediting her because he is an icon, like we talked about earlier. These people, unfortunately, the sheeple, whatever you want to call them, they have been totally mind controlled to look up to like individual people, like from Elvis Presley to whoever, you know, I mean, all of these iconography people.
Not peddling cancer cures.
No, but that's what they do. So they look at this. So Alex Jones becomes an icon because everybody's. I mean, look, whatever it is, if you talk to anybody that's anybody, and if you're not aware, you probably do, and then maybe you'll hopefully stop looking at these people that you've always looked up to in your lives, and you held as maybe you put their posters on the walls and their pictures and all of that. Think about that.
I put the poster of Alex Jones anywhere.
No, I'm talking about from Mick Jagger to like whoever, you know. There's a reason for the iconography.
Yeah, Mick Jagger, oh great.
I look at your picture, Howard, and I can imagine you on a Halloween night painting your face up like Gene Simmons. You ever done that?
No, I actually haven't, but
you kind of have a Gene Simmons thing going on.
I do. I don't know.
I just noticed that.
Well, your name is Randy Simmons. Does that mean we would be related?
Yeah. No. I mean, his real name is.
No, I know. He's got some weird name. I know.
Chaim Witz.
Chaim Weitz, yeah, something like that.
But no, it's the funny story about that.
By the way, a very staunch defender of Israel, I might tell you, and he also came from Israel. He was born in Israel.
Right, he was born there.
That's right.
Why did he change his last name so you couldn't recognize it?
But my grandfather, on my father's side, his name is Eugene Simmons.
No kidding, wow.
Yeah, well, when I first became a Kiss fan, I'm talking like early 70s, you know, I gave him a poster as a joke gift, and he didn't know what to say. What is that? You know.
That is a demon. That's what he is. He's the demon.
Right.
Ace is the star man. He's the demon.
I told you what you have to do is just listen to the music and not even think of what they look like.
No, you're right, Dr. Carpenter.
Elton John sings really well, but you don't want to see him.
He's
it, whatever it is. Okay?
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's true. I agree. You know, it's funny, Vinny. I'm really missing my co-host, Vinny Be the Truth, and I got to give a shout out to him. I was hoping he would call in. We have a new call-in number for temporary purposes. We'll go into that in a little bit. But apparently he's had trouble calling in, and he was, I don't know. I know that Bobby K said that he wasn't getting the phone call, who is now, of course, helping us since our servers are down.
His name is not Vinny Terranova, is it?
No, his name is his name is not Vinny. No, it's not. He goes by Vinny Be the Truth, but his real name is Vincent Basone. We have nothing to hide, but no.
I'm just saying, Vinny.
He just likes that moniker, you know.
Yeah, Vinny, the West guy. Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what I said. His name is not Vinny Terranova, is it? It's the West guy.
But
the Gabagool.
Gabagool.
Yeah, where is it? Where is it?
Well, it's funny, you know. You said you're from northern Italy. My grandfather was a poet from Marsala, and his name was Giacomo di Bernardo, and they actually have a little monument to him. He was buried there. He left. He died of prostate cancer many years ago, but he knew he was dying, and he didn't take treatment. And he just went. He just wanted to go home, and he went home. He went to Italy, and he died. And I never met him. He died before I was born, which was, you know.
But at least he died on his terms.
He did. He really did. He really did. And he was given the honor. He's written poetry. Again, I have a couple of books that he had published. He was pretty well known in his town. He was very well regarded and respected. And they did a little monument to him in Marsala. If you ever go to Marsala, his name was Giacomo di Bernardo. He was a poet.
I'm not very likely to go to Marsala.
Well,
okay?
I know it's nice down there, though.
Take it easy.
I know you're a northern girl. So what part of Italy?
You have no idea the war that goes on that.
Oh, I do know. What's the northern part of Italy that you're from?
Milan.
Oh, Milan. Oh, beautiful.
Armani.
Wow.
See?
Yes, my uncle who is deceased. His name was Francis Xavier Di Bernardo, and he had a company called Francis X Knits, and he had manufacturing in Milan, in Hong Kong, and Paris, I believe, and they had a manufacturing thing going on in the 70s. He was actually a part of this whole problem with the imports. You know, it's interesting. You know, he actually was helping to stop we had a garment industry in America at one time that was very strong. And he sort of worked against that. And the real interesting thing is that my father was a International Ladies Garment Workers Union executive. He was a vice president and was fighting against imports. And this is my uncle. It's really weird. And it's a very interesting, and it was that, I mean, we're talking like that's what he was doing. Now it's you know.
I almost went to work for Vandalay Industries.
Really?
I thought that the
Importer-exporter of, like, okay, that's a joke. It was the Seinfeld joke. Never mind.
Yeah, okay, listen. But what I was saying, I thought that the garment industry in the U.S. was controlled by mafia.
Well, it probably was, and I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, on that side. I mean, I don't know what my uncle was involved with, but the name is obviously associated, unfortunately, with a famous pornographer whose name was Di Bernardo in Italy. So it is the same family name, so I can't really say. I know personally I've had no involvement or no, know anything about it, but.
The Marsala location is also an indication of that, okay?
No, of course, absolutely, no doubt. And it's also the family name, which is interesting. It's actually French because it's D with a D-I, which is French, as opposed to D-E, which would be Italian. So...
it depends on the name. No, if it was French, it would be D apostrophe something.
Yeah?
But my father was French, and the name was... just he removed the stress. It was it was original Aprile, and he removed the stress.
Wow.
April is the month of April anyway, but the French had the stress on it, and that's not the name of the month in French. It's just
Avril.
Yeah,
French.
right.
Yeah.
But his last name was Aprile, and my father did not want to be pinpoint as a French guy. He didn't like the French, so he changed that.
You know, it's funny, since I'm talking about this, and I'm great.
Americans invented racism. I mean, come on.
Of course not. Hey, you can't.
To do with racism, that has to do with the
territorialism.
Yeah.
But you know, since I'm sort of like opening a wound here in a way, I might as well be completely candid. Not that I was ever hiding it. I just never got. There's many things I haven't got to about myself that I wanted to go public with. And one of the things that's really very interesting is, again, you mentioned a lot of things about my uncle. My uncle, he was known as Uncle Sam. Actually, we called him Uncle Sam, but his real name was Francis Xavier, and it was just this whole connection back in those days. I remember interesting things. For example, he knew a lot of people, and I met a lot of people like Danny Kaye. Danny Kaye bought a controlling interest or a partial interest in the Seattle Mariners in like 1977 when I was like 10 years old, and they took I went with Danny Kaye and my uncle to a Yankee game against the Seattle Mariners, and it's funny, I was rooting for the Yankees, and that was just like embarrassing the hell out of my uncle. But I mean, this is the guy from UNICEF. You know, this is the I think a terrible person. I think a horrible, you know, involved possibly in the stuff that Barbara has revealed with Ted Gunderson and the child sex trafficking that we know that goes on through the United Nations. And, you know, and it was just like, I mean, there's a lot that I could speculate because I only have my own memories of it, and information that I'd be willing, of course, I'd say, I mean, it is the truth, and that's what, again, we're going to get into some bigger truth in just a moment, but you have to be truthful, you have to just, you know, you have to stand up for honesty in your life and whatever it is, and take responsibility for your actions.
You suffer from it, but to me, kind of life you're going to have if you see these things happening and do nothing about it.
Exactly, right? Exactly.
Or join it here. And that's another thing. If I had, and this happened years ago, a few years ago, if I had agreed to say, yes, our treatment is synergetic to standard treatment, and you can have our treatment and then have chemo and radiation, then they would not have jumped on my case as much as they are doing now. But it is not. It is not synergetic. It's not. We kill the cancer. If you go for chemo radiation, you're more than likely going to die because you no longer have cancer. And you are only hitting the healthy tissue and nothing else. And it's very likely that you're going to die. You're going to die anyway when you go for chemo radiation. Eventually, sooner or later, you will. But in that case, you might die sooner because your cancer is no longer a threat. You don't have cancer anymore. Would you go for chemo radiation if you had nothing and you were a perfectly healthy person? No, you wouldn't. And if I had cooperated with the system, then they wouldn't have attacked me the way they do. And the same happens with the alternative practitioner. They come to me and say, okay, we can have the patient coming to get your treatment, and then they come back to us and we give them this and that and all of this garbage that they issue.
Wow.
The alternative, at best, because in many cases make the situation worse, but in a lot of cases they can be helpful only one way, to slow down the growth of the cancer. You're still going to die, but it takes longer to die of cancer with some, not all of them, some alternative treatment. But if you have a cancer that has been killed by our treatment, you do not want to have any of those alternatives because they mess up your system. They interfere with the functioning of your liver and kidney, and you very likely are going to die.
Not to mention the immune response that becomes a problem sometimes.
That becomes a problem, and then it's really explosive, and it hurts, and patients think that is the cancer growing. So it's a real mess.
Not only patients, some of these doctors religiously will use a PET scan.
Well, but that's
they know will only detect inflammation. And
right, but that could be that they're doing it, knowing what they're doing, and just to deceive the patient. So I don't know if it is that or ignorance. I have no idea. But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't be in this mess unless I was supporting the truth. The truth is that you don't need any of the cancer treatment, and you don't need any of the alternatives that go on and on forever till you die. We only need to take care of this with our treatment in a few days and you're done. Yes, you have to be patient to wait that the body will flush out that tissue, but that's it, you're done. Don't do anything else. You don't need it, and it's only interfering with the healing. Now, if I didn't say that and say, sure, go back to an alternative practitioner, the patient, by the way, end up dying that way, I probably would have a lot more business and I would have a lot less opposition. But the point is that you have to tell them the truth.
Well, and they want it.
The whole point of your healing, the whole point of what you're doing is to heal people. So if you didn't tell the truth about the simple method that you're using, it's very clear to me as you've described it, then you would actually be part of one of those people.
Crooks. Yeah, crooks. Yeah.
Exactly, it's a charlatan. You're buying into talking about the mafia, into the medical mafia, right?
Right.
You're buying into it.
Remember there was that one patient told you that says, "Oh, I can't go on my vacation now because of a cosmetic, issue."
The only reason
they want it gone, they want it cut out, they don't want it visible. If they see anything,
But she would not have had anything had she not gone back to an alternative practitioner and have all these immune boosters and making the tumor come out of the skin. But she was really feeling good. It's just that she had done these things and she had the tumor coming out of the skin. So what happened? Well, I can't go on vacation like this. So she goes for chemo. Can you go on vacation when you're on chemo? I mean, stupidity.
It's absurd.
Yes, it is.
It's really absurd to hear this.
Yeah, it is. It's absurd, the entire story, the entire situation, everything that happened. And then there are people that come up and say, well, obviously what you're doing doesn't work, because if it did work, everybody will want to use it, all doctors will want to use it, and they will make millions. Yes, but the system is making billions with what they have now.
It costs many times the price of the treatment that you offer.
Right. So what would they want to
Well, more importantly,
side effects.
More importantly, the real listen. Honestly, the people at the top of this operation, at the very top, already have all the money and all of that. It's not about money. It's just going to kill people. It's just going to help to reduce the population, and yeah, the minions that are instituting it are getting fat off of it. But the people are dying, and they say cancer rates are down, and that's lies. Yeah. It's a lie.
Not only that, the ones that are dying are the ones that have reached the age of wisdom, and we want to eliminate those. See?
Absolutely, it's genocide. It is genocide. Yes, Barbara, genocide. Yes.
And it's done intentionally. It's planned. So anybody that is interfering with that plan has to be terminated.
Exactly.
Now, killing it, it's too obvious. It can leave traces that they don't want. So what they do, they ruin you financially, because you cannot survive in society without any income.
Well, that's another part of the COINTELPRO attack, is to ruin you financially, to starve you out, so that you're deprived of everything that you need to live.
Yeah. And that's what the whole plan has been from day one. Knowing, and that with the help of my ex, knowing exactly what kind of income was coming into the company, and make sure that just that exact amount will be terminated.
I would say this, Dr. Carpenter. I've been investigating this for many, many years, and I've listened to a lot of stories and interviewed people, but there are very few people that I've talked to, that I got to know the story, that rose to this level of targeting, okay? In other words, most of the people, the things that were happening were fairly minor in comparison to what happened to you, which tells me that what you're doing, who you are, is considered some kind of a major threat to the powers that be. Otherwise, why would they spend these vast sums of money targeting you?
It had to have been expensive.
Yes.
So why would they do that?
Because it's so much. You just said it. You could make millions, but they're making billions, so they don't want millions. So you said it. So they'll spend millions to protect their billions.
Right. And it's just disgusting what is going on. And it doesn't matter what it does to people. Actually, it's good, because that way they're financially ruined. Now, you have no idea how many people call me and said, I wish I had known about this before, because my wife died and I am bankrupt. She still died of cancer and I'm bankrupt.
That's what they do. Well, that's part of the deindustrialization. That's part of the serfdom, bringing us to serfdom. By getting us sick so we can't work, by reducing the amount of work, by taking all the jobs overseas. It's all a collaboration. It's all a combination. It's all adding up to this end game, you know.
And the price of insurance keeps going up, and nobody can afford it because the cancer is so expensive. We have to jack up our prices, and then the insurance cover less and less, and so you're left because people say, well, I go to standard treatment and it's covered by insurance, and only later they realize that they have to pay an enormous amount of money because even copay is outrageous.
Yeah, there's like $10,000, $20,000 family limits and stuff like that out of pocket. So there's huge deductibles. Huge.
And then when you have chemo, that goes beyond the deductible. So you're taking chemo, you still have to pay the 20% copay. It's got nothing to do with the deductible because this goes on and on. So you have to pay 20% of something that will run $120,000 a year or more, and it goes on and on. Somebody, actually he was at GCN, said years ago that the average cost of somebody's cancer is $1.2 million. Well, figure out what the 20% of that is and tell me if anybody can afford that.
Not many people.
$120,000?
The average income in America is $39,000 a year. So I don't think anybody could really afford that. If you look at the average income of the average household income is like 40 grand, 39.5 or something.
Yeah.
And going down.
Way down, brother. Way down. It's going way down. And it's terrible. It really is. I just want to, we're at the like the last half hour, I just would like to try to shift gears, but the importance of this is so great that we all should get together and do this again, and maybe with a little better planning to continue.
Well, the kinks worked out now. We got the kinks
I think we got the kinks worked out. You're right, and really focus on this. It's so important, and all the aspects that go along with it, because it is, like I've said many times. It's a bottomless pit of evil. It's a spider web that all meets in the middle, but it's very, very vast. And it's hard to believe, but everything that you're talking about, Doctor, is related to the banking, it's related to the commodities, it's related to the food, it's related to, oh my God, all across the board.
And the government.
And the government, of course, is promulgating the whole thing.
Some of the biggest in D.C.
Look, you have really big problems in this country. You have a eugenicist, and his name is John P. Holdren. He is our science czar. He is setting the science protocol for the United States government and all the propaganda. He is the guy.
What science are we talking about? What science are we talking about?
Oh, you've never heard of the science czar or Cass Sunstein? These people? No. They're basically into this whole transhumanism and
oh God.
Oh, it gets at. You didn't know who John P. Holdren is, Doctor?
No.
Oh my God, he is the appointed by Obama. Around the same time that Michael R. Taylor, who was the former vice president of Monsanto, chief lobbyist and top attorney, was appointed as the head of the FDA. Now you have the science czar. Literally they call him that. You can Google it. And he wrote a book in 1977 called Ecoscience that basically says to deal with population we have to have forced sterilization, covert means of populating. It would be great if we could find a way to depopulate the earth. Using things in the water, food additives. And it gets on and on. So they're actually giving us the cancer, treating us for the cancer, and killing us as quickly as possible.
Well, Bill Gates said if we're successful in Africa, then we can eliminate disease and overpopulation at the same time.
Okay, but listen, think about it. Okay, think about it.
Amen. That's what he said. It's insane, but true.
Well, yeah, I can't stand the guy. But think about this. This is happening at the same time that they are opposing birth control. That doesn't make any sense. Because you control the population by birth control. No. You can't have birth control. But you can kill people. And by the way, people are dying, and that's another false flag thing. saying it's the food that we eat that is bad. That, whatever damage can do, doesn't even compare to all the medication that people are given to. Oh, this population is overweight and because they eat too much in the food they eat. Absolutely not. It's just that people, every person that I know of has allergies. They give all this medication for allergies and they make you fat. The allergy medication make you fat.
It gets wider and wider, but they talk about, go back to vaccines again. Vaccines cause allergies. This is all stuff that I've researched. It's all on record.
Also, stuff in the air causes allergies.
Yeah, chemtrails too, right? Geoengineering. What do you think that's doing to people? Asthma's on the rise, multiple sclerosis, autism.
And diabetes. Okay, diabetes. Diabetes not because people have too much dessert. Oh, you have to cut the dessert because when you have dessert you feel good, so you have to cut the dessert. It's not that gives diabetes. There are medications that are ordinarily given to people every day, and one of the major side effects is diabetes. It's all the chemical altering of the body from all these medications that make the industry so much money and make people sick, which is great because then they become a patient forever. So you have diabetes, you have to be controlled by a doctor all the time, and you have to have all this medication, and you have to be on the constant check. And to me, that's one major invasion of your freedom. One of the things I hated since I was a little kid is having to go to the doctor. That interferes with your life and with your freedom. And instead, make sure that you are controlled that way. And so is the medication that they give you. I guarantee you that a lot of cancer that are showing up now are caused by medication, and people cannot get that through their head. Radiation and exposure and medication.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, oh no, you cannot eat meat because meat will give you cancer. Oh, come on, don't be ridiculous. And you cannot eat this, and pork is evil. Pork meat is evil. You cannot have this, you cannot have that, you cannot have that. Well, you can eat nothing. But you get all these supplements, the Mercola cells or all the others. Get these supplements and you'll be okay. I have had a patient that even tried to imply that I was getting paid by the meat industry to push red meat.
That's nice.
Well, and you know who it was that accused you? It was an ex-patient that wanted to come on your show and plug all these diets that she's sold herself out to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All this juicing for life. You know.
Yeah. I remember the Jim Carrey. He was making fun of the juicer guy in the long time ago, 20 years ago, making fun of the juicer guy on Living Color, that TV show. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but it was funny. He'd made fun of him, and he's like making fun of like the juicing machine. There was a juicer guy back 20 years ago, this old guy. It was like, it wasn't Jack LaLanne, but it was somebody like him, and he was like the juicer, and oh, juice everything, juice it, turn it into juice.
You know the latest about juicing? You cannot use the regular juices like Jack LaLanne or somebody else. No. That ruins the fruits and vegetables you're trying to choose. You have to have this special one because that way it doesn't have enough heat, it doesn't alter the vitamins, and it costs $2,000.
Right, it's all a lie. It's all a lie. Anyway, you're all listening, everybody. I'm here with Dr. Carpenter and Randy Simmons and Barbara Hartwell. You're now watching and listening. WeAreChange Connecticut. My co-host Vinny B. The Truth is up north. And he can't. Yeah, he was trying to get in touch with us. I guess he wasn't able to join us. And my shouts out to you. Thanks out to Bobby K at ProjectFreedom.ws, who is broadcasting our show right now, and of course to Harry Link at TruthBroadcastNetwork.com and Death2NWO.com, D2NWO.com, where we're all streaming right now. Speaking of all this, the reason why we're streaming, well, we always stream in multiple locations because of these great patriots that help us to get this message out, and they get their messages out too. And we're going to be hoping to be, I was hoping to be joined by Roger Landry. I guess maybe there is a problem getting through on the phones, I don't know. But we're going to keep expanding this. This is the kind of information everybody needs to hear, and we're going to keep working on getting it out to like literally the masses on an incredibly massive scale. That's all I'll say about that.